Think for a second about the main emotion you associate with money. If you watch movies or read the news, you'd probably say greed, right? But honestly, one of the absolute strongest emotions holding your personal finances back isn't greed at all. It's actually fear. The truth is, a lot of people aren't struggling because they're careless with their cash. They're struggling because they are terrified. Terrified of making a mistake, looking foolish, or just taking a step that feels even a little bit uncertain. So we're going to unpack exactly why this fear is quietly sabotaging your financial future, and more importantly, how to beat it.
So why exactly do we avoid investing in the first place? Why do we let our money just sit there perfectly still when we absolutely know we should be doing more with it? It's kind of a crazy contradiction. We often choose the total comfort of doing nothing simply because we're scared of messing up. It just feels way easier to freeze than to risk making a wrong move. But here's the catch: doing nothing. That is actually a massive decision all on its own.
Which brings us to Section 1, the high cost of fear and the polite language of delay. I bet these excuses sound super familiar. I'll start investing later. I need to learn more first. Maybe next year. We tell ourselves these things, and man, they sound so incredibly reasonable, don't they? They sound responsible. But let's be real. These polite little excuses aren't actually about waiting for more information. They're just fear, basically putting on a disguise of protective caution. The person saying, I need to learn more, usually isn't actually reading a finance book. They're just waiting for emotional comfort. They want some magical day to arrive where they feel 100% secure. But spoiler alert here, real financial growth happens when you start while you're still a little uncertain. To really understand why we do this, let's look at Section 2, the psychology of financial loss, diving beneath the surface. Okay, so consider the massive psychological imbalance between the joy of gaining something and the pain of losing it. Psychologists have actually proven that the mental pain of losing money is twice as powerful as the pleasure of gaining that exact same amount. Our brains are literally hardwired to freak out over loss. Losing $100 feels way worse than finding $100 feels good. And this is true. You'll remember one bad investment for decades, but completely forget your little financial wins by next week. This emotional imbalance totally warps our behavior. One bad event plants the seed of fear, and from then on, it acts like a filter for literally every financial choice we make. Because of that deep-seated fear, our minds start playing tricks on us, exaggerating everyday uncertainty into a massive threat. Whenever we face a choice about money, our brains immediately fast-forward to the absolute worst-case scenario. What if the market crashes tomorrow? What if I lose everything and never recover? Suddenly, the completely normal, everyday uncertainty of the future, which is just a fact of life, is transformed into this paralyzing, life-or-death monster. Our minds blow the unknown completely out of proportion. And because the brain sees this massive, magnified threat, it desperately wants an extreme solution. It wants zero risk, zero potential for loss, zero discomfort. People crave absolute certainty so badly that they take all their hard-earned money and stash it in the safest possible place, like a savings account earning basically nothing or literally stuffed under a mattress. They just can't stomach any downside at all. But this creates a really painful irony. Let's get into Section 3, the illusion of safety and the hidden costs of overprotection. Here is the harsh truth. By trying to avoid every single bump in the road to stay perfectly safe, you are actually guaranteeing the slow, quiet death of your wealth. That zero-risk money, it isn't truly safe. It's being devoured by inflation, day after day. Your purchasing power is literally shrinking while you sleep. Then add in the heavy cost of missed opportunities, the gains you completely missed out on because you stayed on the sidelines. And honestly, the worst part? Decades of lost compounding time. You think you're protecting yourself from a temporary market dip, but this habit of overprotecting yourself is costing you so much more in the long run. We really need to highlight the difference between wisdom and fear here, because people mix them up all the time. True wisdom looks at a risk, evaluates it, learns what's needed, and then moves forward carefully. Fear, on the other hand, fear just postpones things, but it calls itself caution or being responsible, so it doesn't have to face the discomfort of the unknown. People love to pat themselves on the back for being safe just because their bank balance isn't fluctuating, while completely ignoring the massive, invisible cost of doing nothing. And look, let's be totally honest, being wise instead of fearful is harder today than it has ever been. Modern fear spreads like wildfire. Just think about the phone in your pocket. Information is instant. All it takes is one bad headline, one panicked video on your feed, or a stressed out text from a friend to completely flip your mindset. Social media algorithms literally feed on worst-case scenarios because panic gets clicks, which makes risks feel way bigger and way more immediate than they actually are in reality.
Now, this constant barrage of doom and gloom is about 100 times worse if you're operating without a safety net, which brings us to the concept of a financial buffer. If you don't have an emergency fund, if every single dollar matters for your immediate survival next week, then yeah, even a tiny market fluctuation feels like life or death. The stress is absolutely crushing. A financial buffer isn't just numbers on a spreadsheet, it's a shield for your mind. It gives you the breathing room you need so you don't panic, letting you make financial decisions from a place of power instead of pure desperation.
So, how do we actually fix this? That brings us to Section 4. How to move forward and breaking the cycle of inaction.
This is the most crucial part, how to stop letting fear sit in the driver's seat. Based on the source material, here are 4 actionable steps you can take. Step 1, build that emergency fund first. You've got to insulate your mind so you can actually think clearly. Step 2, learn before you act, absolutely, but please do not wait forever. Stop using research as an excuse to procrastinate. Step 3, start small. You don't need to dump your life savings into the market on day 1. Just put in a little bit to break the ice and prove to yourself that the sky won't fall. And step 4, focus on the process, not perfection. You are never going to have perfect timing. Just by taking these steps, you'll see that you don't have to be reckless to build wealth. You just need to take measured, consistent steps forward.
Which leads us right into this incredibly powerful idea. Let risk be measured, not imaginary. A financially balanced person gets that there is literally no perfectly safe path in life. I mean, keeping cash in a jar is risky because of inflation. So instead of trying to eliminate uncertainty entirely, instead of chasing that impossible zero, they learn how to act wisely inside of the uncertainty. They just accept it as a totally normal part of the wealth-building journey.
We're going to wrap up this explainer with one fundamental truth. Money requires the courage to act. Avoiding all risk guarantees you miss out on all the opportunity. Sure, fear might keep your money safe for a minute, but it will keep you financially paralyzed for years. If you look at history, the people who build real, lasting wealth don't do it blindly, but they also don't wait forever. They embrace a little bit of discomfort because they know it leads to progress. So I want to leave you with this. What is the very first financial step you've been putting off, and what is it actually costing you to wait? Think about that as you navigate your choices this week. And hey, join us on our next explainer, where we're going to dive into something fascinating, how your childhood beliefs about money are silently controlling the financial rules you follow right now. You absolutely won't want to miss it.